Hey everyone, it's Barry here from PowerAppify.com, Power Apps Academy. Welcome back to our video. Today's video we're going to be covering our new starter app, which is a part of our HR form series. So I've actually done a video on this before, but I've decided to cover it again. Made some tweaks to the app so it's much better than it was. And yeah, so we're going to give you a quick demo of the app, and then we're going to jump into how it's configured so that you can build it yourself, or you can download it from PowerAppify.com. It's your choice. So let's jump straight into it. So I fired up our new starter form, Power App. This is the first screen that you displayed with. So over here we can see that I'm logged on. We've got some information and a progress bar over here. So we'll just start filling in the information. So I've got someone called Joe Bloggs who's joining as head of HR. Let's just say they are Joey, head of HR. They'll be in the HR team. Who's the manager? This looks up in our directory, so it's going to be Anna Sixter. This person will also be a line manager. They are going to be in North America region, and they're going to be based in Las Vegas office. And then this basically defaults to 5 days from today. If I put a date sooner than that, if it's emergency for some reason to set up, then you can see here it's set up as a urgent request, and then I need to put a reason why. I'll just say I forgot to submit on time. Right, let's go to the next screen. You can see that's checked off as a tick box, and the next one's over here. Also, because we selected the US, there's some customizations to the form based on the US region. Some not required fields are grayed out, and also other information that is required is added. So it's just going to be a standard user. There's also some other options that we've got in there, but this is just a standard user. They're going to be hybrid. What languages can they speak? We'll be generous and say they can speak English, Spanish and Portuguese. No pre-booked holidays. Location of induction, I'm going to say it's going to be online induction. And then we can go over to the finance and payroll screen. Starter requires a company credit card. We'll click on yes. 40, which is the default. The US employees, this is again, when I said the US format, this is one that's, they have some exempt or non-exempt. We're going to say starting salary is 80,000, which is US dollars, included in bonus scheme. Yeah, we're going to say 15,000. Frequency of bonus once a year. We'll say starting today's date. No additional. Comments. I don't have to put anything in there, but just add it in there. So this is the IT screen. Over here we can copy a profile just to make it easier. So if there's specific distribution groups or other groups that the member needs to be a member of, but you know it's just easier to copy someone who's in HR. Obviously you can inform your HR not to copy any sensitive information across if required, but they should already know that. So we'll just put John, who's in HR, just to copy their profile settings. Now we've developed a hardware ordering app that you can download from PowerAppify.com. You can use that to order new hardware, but or if you've got your own way of doing it, just put a link in. You can just update the app yourself to embed that. Any additional permissions? No. We'll just leave this blank. Continue to the next screen. And that's it. This is the last screen. We can say it's 5-star experience. Great form. And then when I click submit, it'll send an email to the various departments, and it'll only send the relevant information to the specific department. So I'll click on submit, and then we'll have a look at our sent items just to send. As you can see here, this is the final screen that you displayed. If you want to launch the hardware ordering app, you could click on that if you had that template installed. If not, you can just exit and close. We're going to go over to our sent items just to show which emails have gone. So over here we can see a new starter to the HR team. So this email only goes to HR. It's got all the general information and then the HR specific information. Payroll, again to the payroll. Just the general information, and then the specific payroll information again for IT. Sent to the service desk. This the general information, then the specific IT information, and then a summary of everything that we completed in the form is sent to the person who logged the form and also to the manager who specified, so they get all the information in there. And then the recommendation and where we put a rating and any details, that's also sent, one to the service desk and one to some other interested people who might want to receive that information. So those are all the emails that are sent out. And that's it really. That's how quick and easy it is. So let's have a look at the configuration of the form. So I'm going to hop over there now. So I've opened Power Apps Studio with my HR Digital Forms new starter form app. So hopefully you're all familiar in how to use Power Apps Studio. So there's some other videos I've created around how to use that. If you're not too familiar, you should watch that first. But we're going to jump into how this new starter form app is configured. So let's start off with our data sources first. So these data sources basically cover all our HR Digital Forms. As I said, there's a number of other forms I have as well. I've just added all of the data sources for all of the forms, so you might find that not all of them are used for this one, but in all of the, so basically I've just added the same data sources. So let's have a look at, so we've got the Office 365 users, that just gathers information about users. This is the Outlook connector to send emails. The Teams name, these are all SharePoint lists I've created, so let's quickly jump into SharePoint and have a look at the various lists I've created. So I've got this office locations, which is quite a big one I've got in there. This basically has all the information about all our offices, and this is where you would come to update this list depending on how your business is set up. So you might only have one office, then you can remove all the others. You might be a global business with lots of offices around the world. You can just add in your offices in here and remove the ones that you don't need. So in here you can see we've got London. You just keep these columns because they are used by the app, but you can delete the rows and add rows to suit your business. So you can see there's a region, there's the country, the function, if it's an office or a data center, public holidays, how many public holidays there are, how many entitled holidays there are per region. This is just a link to where you can get different holiday details for that region, and that's for the holiday section, time booking section of the app. Which isn't in this one. The currency for that location, the time zone, and also for each region. Now these might be the same, but in some companies they may be different, where you might have HR in EMEA and APAC, and they might have a different email address. Same for payroll, there might be a different payroll email address for each region. And then the service desk email address. So yeah, you just fill in those with your company details. The other ones that we have here are languages spoken. So this is the languages that you want to have available in the drop-down list in the form. These are just covered off in this list, so you can just keep those, or you can add different ones to suit your business requirements. This absent form we won't cover in this one, but that's part of a different form. And then this HR Digital Form. So this is basically, when your form completes, it just writes back some very basic information to this list. So basically, whether it's a starter or leaver or role change form, just who logged it, when it was logged, what team that person will be joining. And this is just for statistics, and you can actually go in here and create some BI visualizations which you can use to present to your various teams. So how many people started in a month, how many people left in a month, which teams were they joining, how many new starters per team, all that kind of thing. So you can delve right into it and customize it to suit your requirements. So those are the data sources, and you can just, once you've got the SharePoint list added in there, you just come in here and add data, connect to SharePoint, and then click on that and just obviously just connect to your various lists in there. So that's pretty straightforward. Now if you download the template, we've got a copy of the list that you can just download, you can just upload into your system. So that's very easy, and get them set up. Okay, so what else do we have in here? We have, let's go to the tree view components. So this this basically top bar is just a component starter here. You can see you've got the picture. That picture's just pulled. Whoever's logged in, it just grabs their profile picture and the name here. Whoever's logged on just goes on there, and then obviously you can add your branding to this. This is a component that's just added to the screen. So if we go back to the screen, over here this is that same component, so you can just drag it into each screen that you create. So, and this other section is consistent across all my screens. It's just got some information about the starter, and it pulls this information here. There's different text box here, and it just pulls the information from the various fields that we have here. So as you can see here, this is text box starter full name.txt, and if you have here, you'll see it's exactly the same. So it's just grabbing the text out of that box, and the same for the next one, which is the job title. It's just basically grabbing the text out of this box, and then the team, what team are they joining, we'll grab it out of the value out of here. So if we just go back there and have a look quickly. So it's the drop box starter team, the selected value out of that box, okay? Now the picture won't change in this because there's a new starter, and new starters don't have pictures uploaded yet. This just captures the date and the country, and then this is just the progress bar. So basically each screen that we go on, once we've filled in all the fields, and this will turn to a tick, and then it'll show us what screen that we're on, okay? And that's just to help you keep track and make it look nice. And then this button over here, you click on it, you just put a launch to your ticketing system, or you can send an email or whatever you want to do. That's you'll just customize it for your needs. And then this is the button to proceed to the next screen. Basically what it does is it captures all the information into variables. So for each item in this screen, basically captures the detail into a variable that we can use later. And then there's also basically, depending on what information you select on the drop down boxes over here, will determine which email addresses will be sent to. So if we just go in here and we click on this group here, you can see it's a group for starters set email addresses. It's hidden initially, you can see there. So we're going to go and set the property of that group to visible, just so we can see what's going on here. Visible, and I set it to true. True. Right, so let's just fill in the form quickly and you can see how it works. So I'm just going to keep it really simple for now. Okay, so you can see, go back, this is your HR emails, your payroll email, and your service desk email. These ones are not in use anymore, so it only uses those 3 email addresses. I'm going to rehide those again because obviously we don't want those to be visible, but if you're ever troubleshooting the email addresses, just go in there and basically it pulls those email addresses. Actually, sorry, let me just, before we could unhide it, let's just see what it does here. So we click on one of these. So we can see it's a filter for office locations, which is this one over here, the SharePoint list. Okay, so it's filtering that office locations where country column is equal to the value of the country I've selected here. Okay, so each country in my example has its own email address for HR and payroll. Service desk is the same. So for this one, this is HR, so it's going to capture the HR email address here. See the value there, where the country is equal to North America. So that's going to be HR NAM at your there we go. HR North America is going to be, sorry, US North America there, country. Just highlight that one so you can see. Move over, HR NAM, and there's actually another one there. You can fill it into whatever or remove it. And you can see there's another one there. Okay, and the same for this. It'll be payroll, same thing. You can see, except this value here is payroll, and the same for this one's going to be service desk over there. So that's how you set your emails. It uses those emails on the last screen to send those emails to those relevant departments. Right, so I'm going to hide that again. Okay, so that's gone. We filled all that in. So we go back here. We've been there. These are all the email addresses that are captured into variables, so I can use them later. And then determine the setup lead time. So this is when I said if there's a difference of 5 days, and mark it as an urgent late request. So that's the line of code that does that for you. And then we can move on to the next screen. Also, just be aware, I've also got some configuration around display mode, and if there's some of these are blank, then it won't allow you to progress. So whatever you think is mandatory before you can progress to the next screen, you can fill these in here. So just you can have a look at that and just work it out for yourself and make any modifications if you need to. Hopefully you understand how if statements work, and is blank just means if there's no data in that field, then mark it as disabled. Otherwise, put it in edit. Okay, so that's that screen. Let's move on to the next one. I'm using Alt, clicking next. So this is, remember I said in the demo, this basically is visible if the country is North America, then set that to true, right? And that just becomes visible, because there's some other elements in here which are disabled, like this one here. This is, if I go into display mode, so if it's North America, then disable that because it's not required. In my example, it might be in yours, but you can come and modify that. Okay, so standard user setup. Now this is just a drop down box with some options I have in there. Working arrangement, again, it's just the items in a drop down box I've added there. Languages spoken. Now this pulls from the languages spoken SharePoint list over here. Okay, so it pulls the data. It's just a drop down box, languages spoken in there. That's fine, so it just pulls that in there. Sorry, let me just go back up. So languages spoken, title, that's quite easy to put in. Pre-holiday dates, just normal text field. Location of induction, so this pulls out my office location SharePoint list again, where the function of the office is office, because we don't want to show data centers. Then it also sorts them in order by the title, so that the name of the office. So we can see when I drop down there, it's got the name of the office in there. So title is where I put the name of the office. That's the column in the SharePoint list. And then this is just basically a text field. We have multi-line text field. I can add some information. Again, proceed to finance. I think I've got some configuration on the display mode on here. Yeah, so just you can read through this and just work out. So basically, if it's North America and the contract type is select from list, then edit. If the country is North America and the contract type select from list, then disabled. So it's just some logic I put in there that makes sense for my business. You can play around with that and set it to whatever works for your business. And then we can go to the next screen. Let's just click on this working arrangement. Hybrid. I'm going to go to the next screen. There, you can see those two screens are complete. So I'm on my payroll screen now. So this requires a credit card. It's just a simple drop-down box with some predefined items in there. Hours to be worked. You can see I put a standard as 40 hours. What I've done here is hint text. So that standard is 40 hours. I just sort of graze it out in there, but then I'll have to put it in when I'm filling out the form. So 40 hours in there. Select from list. What is this? Exempt, non-exempt. This is just going to be a simple drop-down box with predefined values in there. Okay, salary. This here is basically a drop-down box in view mode. That's why you can't see the drop-down element. So it's basically you can only see, and it's linked to the office locations drop-down. So whatever country I'm in, it's gone and basically done a filter on the office locations SharePoint list where the country equals the country I've selected and where the currency matches that country. So whatever, if I selected South Africa, that would be in ZAR, or if I selected UK, it would have been Great British Pounds. So that automatically sets that up. So you can put the currency in there. If you select this checkbox, so let me just fill in the currency while I'm at it. Again, you can see I won't be able to move on if I don't fill in some of the fields, so I'm just going to fill them in. Okay, yeah, so if I uncheck that, then those are grayed out. Again, this is just using display mode. So if the checkbox equals true, then make this editable. If not, then disable it. So you can see those all have the same logic. And then if I click on this button just to see what happens, again I collect all the data into variables. So over here, if there's no bonus, then it'll just basically set that variable to no bonus instead of the value of the field, and in the email it'll say no bonus is required for the starter, just to make it easier to understand. Okay, so you can just work through that. It's fairly straightforward. So I just capture all the information in the fields into variables, and then I use those variables on the last screen to send the data to the various teams via email. Okay, so I'm going to go on to next. IT, this just captures, so again this is just a lookup, an Office 365 lookup, typical one I've used on the first screen as well. I think we forgot to cover it, but basically just use that Office 365 users search term and then the value of the text. So when I start filling it out, it'll search for users with the same name or spelling and present them in a list that you can select from. Okay, you can just copy that. This one is just a predefined list items. Again, very simple screen. Once everything is selected, I think I've got the color in here, the color of the text. If it's a mandatory field, the color of the text is this sort of purplish color. So it means you have to select something from there, otherwise you won't be able to progress. Oh, and I also have to have someone's name in there as well. Let me fill it in. Okie dokie. So I can go back, move on to next screen. Oh, actually, sorry. So go back and just see what we've done on here. Very similar to the other screens. Yeah. So it basically just sets the variables to capture the information. You can see it sets some values with some if statements in there, so you can just read through and see what I've done there. That's fine. And then click on next to go to the final screen. Over here we've just added this basically feedback form section. This is a star rating, so if you go insert, input, see the star rating in there, and then you can set some set some properties on that. Basically 5 is the max, show value, and then they can select a default as 0, so it'll mark as 0, and then I've just put a comments box in here where they can add comments as well. Those values are captured into variables when I hit on the submit button. So let's go into the submit button quickly. So in here I've captured the comments, improvement comments, into a variable over there. I've patched some information into that HR digital forms. So patches basically write whatever information I have in these variables into this HR digital form list, which I showed you a bit earlier over here. So it just captures, there's no sensitive information captured, just basically new starter, leaver, role change, who it was, what department, that kind of thing. And that patches it in there. So defaults just means it creates a new line in that list, and then for each column in there it'll put this value in, and these are variables or just strings, text I can put in there. Today is just today's date, and then basically the next part of it is setting a variable that I use in my emails. So over here I set the variable name, and I'll put some HTML formatting in here. So I say bold, underline, general new starter information, new line, form is submitted by in bold, then the user name, whoever's logged on, new line, starter's name is the variable. So G is basically, I've called it G, var G is on the general part, so basically the first screen of the form. Starter name, new line, also known as var G starter, known as, and these are basically all the variables that I've captured on each page that I go through. So if you go back and have a look at those variables, you'll find these names defined, and then the value set within that variable is the same as the corresponding field. Okay, so basically it captures and it formats it in a nice presentable way. This again does the subject of the email for the new starter, so it's a summary, new starter name, location, what's the variable for the country, and the start date, and it does it for each email type, right? So this is the general information to be included in all emails. Excuse me. This is the one for the service desk. This is the one for HR. Okay, this is the one for finance and payroll. Okay, and then over here, this is where we actually send the emails. So this is where we set what's going to be in each of the emails in terms of the subject and the body of the email. And then here's the command, actually the script that sends the email. So it uses the Office 365 Outlook connector, send email v2, and then it's got the varg email address so that, remember I captured the email address on the first screen. Then it's got the subject for HR, and it's got the all general information, and it's also got the HR email body. Okay, and it does the same for each team that I send it. I'll send one to payroll, one to service desk, one to line managers. Okay, and it just captures that. So basically everything's in variables, and then it just adds the variables into the commands. Okay, and then this is the one that if there was some comments added, so if is not blank the comments, then it'll send that with the information. If it is blank, then it won't send an email. Okay, and then the same for that star rating. I said I've sent it to some other people as well who might be interested, so it's just adding that script in there to do that, and then that moves on to the final success screen, and that's it basically. Nice and simple. So hopefully I've covered everything in there. What'll be easiest for you is to download the template from powerappify.com, or just take what you've learned and apply it yourself. Best of luck. Please stay tuned for our other videos. The next one will be the levers form, and then we'll have one after that for the role change form. So stay tuned. Please do give us a thumbs up, a like, and please subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out. It helps us stay online, producing more videos like this for you guys. Right, take care, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.